What's going on, sad boys and sad girls? I'm Mox Jade. I make emotional EDM music. Welcome to the channel. What the heck is the difference between future bass and melodic dubstep? I assume you either clicked this video because you don't know the difference and you're curious to know, or because you have a really strong opinion and you want to see if I get it right. Either way, I welcome you. Nowadays, in the year 2021, I am fully immersed in the EDM scene. I make music in both of these genres, which you can find on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you stream your music. But I actually showed up to the scene pretty late. I randomly listened to EDM growing up. I was really into Skrillex when he took over the world. I remember listening to some Avicii, some Deadmau5. I was really into Black Mill. But for the most part, these were just random songs that I happened upon. I was steeped for the most part in alternative rock. But in 2017, I stumbled upon a sound that would change my life. Heavy kicks and snares, powerful basses, a wall of sparkling synths rushing over me. I had never heard anything like this before, but it was like I was encountering the music that I had been searching for my entire life. Heavy but beautiful, aggressive but clean and sparkly, sounds I had never heard and textures I had never encountered before. Seven Lions, Said the Sky, Son Holo, Illenium. Of course, I wanted to know what all of this new music was called so that I could find more of it. And as I investigated, two names kept popping up: future bass and melodic dubstep. I always saw these two genres together and I never really thought much of it. I definitely didn't understand the difference, and eventually I just started calling all the artists that I liked future bass, and whenever anyone would ask me what kind of music I liked, I would just say future bass because it was easier. But over time I got more curious. What is the difference between these two genres? Why are they always mentioned in the same breath? Why not call them the same name? If they really are different enough to be called different names, then what exactly are those differences? Now, if you ask this question in a forum, what is the difference between future bass and melodic dubstep, you had better watch out, because a bunch of ravenous producers are gonna come and get you. The difference is obvious. They're not the same at all. And then they'll use a bunch of technical jargon to explain why.
LFOs, modulation, oscillators, sound design, blah, 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 blah.
And I'm here to tell you, forum goblins, that you need to calm down. And also, you're wrong. And here's why. Almost every playlist with these genres lists both names as a catch-all. Future bass and melodic dubstep, sad boy feels emotional mix 2021. I've heard future bass described as both happy trap and post-dubstep. And if you search online, you'll find that many of the big artists are listed as one genre or the other, seemingly interchangeably. If the difference was so obvious, there wouldn't be all of this confusion, would there? And that's why I'm not here today to give you an easy answer. I'm here to do a deep dive, baby. I'm going to give a brief history of both genres, investigate the similarities and the differences between them, offer my own theory about what makes a song future bass or melodic dubstep, test that method on several songs as case studies, and then, just for fun, I'm going to make a song that has one drop that is future bass and one drop that is melodic dubstep to synthesize what we've learned. And by the time you see this video, it will be out on all major streaming platforms so that you can show your friends the difference between future bass and melodic dubstep. Let's begin. Part 1, a brief history of melodic dubstep. Dubstep originated in South London in the late 1990s. It evolved out of UK garage, and drew influence from both dub reggae and two-step, hence dubstep. It was dark, sparse, rhythmic, and emphasized a brooding bass line. The genre grew and grew in the UK throughout the next decade, and in 2011, dubstep exploded into the US with a new sound popularized by Skrillex. This evolution was much heavier louder, harsher, and more dramatic. Alongside this heavy sound that became known as bro step, other dubstep genres emerged in parallel. Chill step, for instance, was an atmospheric and relaxed innovation. Melodic dubstep maintained the powerful energy of bro step, but opted for euphoric, lush leads and chords over the more metal-influenced lurching basses. Artists like Seven Lions, Adventure Club, and AU5 have been pioneers of the genre since the early days. Labels like Mr. Suicide Sheep, NCS, Monster Cat, and more recently Seven Lions label Ophelia Records have championed the genre to new heights. Part 2, a brief history of future bass. Future bass, fascinatingly, shares its earliest origins with those of melodic dubstep. It is also a descendant from the UK dubstep scene. A genre called wonky evolved out of both dubstep and grime, infusing a new influence, hip-hop. Especially the sounds of American hip-hop producers J Dilla and Madlib. While original dubstep was far more dark and minimalistic, wonky was far more colorful, featuring off-kilter drums and woozy synths. When wonky absorbed the iconic sound of trap music, future bass was born. This amalgam of wonky trap and post-dubstep influences resulted in music that incorporated lush swirling synth chords, EDM, trap drums, and bright vocal samples to create a euphoric, energetic atmosphere. In 2013, Flume brought future bass into the mainstream with his remix of Disclosure's You and Me. In the late 2010s, future bass grew to become one of the main influences on mainstream pop music. Artists like the Chainsmokers and Martin Garrix collaborated with pop artists to bring the sound of future bass to the entire world. These two genre histories will become useful later, but ultimately, Wikipedia pages and genre origins can't answer our question today. I want to know, what do people mean now when they say future bass? What do they mean now when they say melodic dubstep? What causes them to call one artist future bass and one artist melodic dubstep? So I decided to perform an experiment. I asked myself, how would I go about figuring out what people mean when they talk about these two genres? And here's what I came up with. While there are some artists that many refer to as both future bass and melodic dubstep, there are some artists that many seem to agree belong to one genre or the other. For instance, while there seems to be a lot of confusion about what genre Illenium or Said the Sky is, everyone seems to agree Flume is a future bass artist. Seven Lions is a melodic dubstep artist. San Holo is definitely future bass. I'm sorry, man, I know you don't want to be associated with the genre, but... And AU5 is definitely melodic dubstep. I decided that I would listen extensively to these seemingly agreed upon artists and take copious notes on the similarities and differences between their music. Here's what I found. Part 3, the similarities between future bass and melodic dubstep. Why is there so much overlap between these genres? No one is getting progressive house confused with rhythm, except maybe your grandma. So why are future bass and melodic dubstep always mentioned in the same conversation? The obvious, both genres use electronic sounds, both build into huge drops, both are bass heavy, but this is true of all EDM, right? The most important characteristic that makes these genres the same is that they are in halftime. If you're not a musician, here's what halftime means. In regular time, the backbeat or the snare is on beats 2 and 4. In both future bass and melodic dubstep, the snare is on beat 3. The result is a slower, heavier feel. This is why you headbang and cry to melodic dubstep instead of shuffling to it. Another similarity is that both genres extensively use a sound called a supersaw, which is when a synthesizer creates a number of detuned sawtooth waves. Because they are just slightly out of tune with each other, they sound kind of like a choir. For those of you whose brains just short-circuited because you're not sound design nerds, I'll just show you what it sounds like. This sound can be used to make huge chords, or short plucks, or soaring leads. From what I listened to, I feel confident saying that this is the most important sound in both future bass and melodic dubstep, if not EDM in general. Other similarities include dramatically affected vocals, extensive use of vocal chops, swirling arpeggios, sidechain pumping, and emphasis on spacious emotional atmosphere. Part 4, the differences between future bass and melodic dubstep. The moment we have all been waiting for. What the heck is the difference between future bass and melodic dubstep? The most obvious place to start is the drums. Melodic dubstep drums take more influence from UK dubstep and rock and even metal drums. Perhaps because some of the fathers of brostep and melodic dubstep have roots in the metal world. The kick will be heavy and punchy. The snare will be deep and reverberant, perhaps even acoustic sounding. And the cymbal patterns will be dubstep and rock influenced. Future bass drums, on the other hand, will be more trap influenced. The kick will be deep and thumpy. The snare will be snappy and might be layered with snaps or claps. Bright hi-hat patterns will burst into fast rhythms. Trap chants or vocal shouts may even accentuate the drums. These differences make sense based on the genre histories that we just explored. Moving on to basses. Melodic dubstep basses will be more aggressive, mid-rangey, and dubstep influenced, and may even include growls inherited from brostep. The most common technique seems to be many layers of detuned saw basses. The hallmark bass of future bass is the hallmark bass of trap music, the 808. Once created from the iconic Roland TR-808 drum machine, which was the original tool for making trap music in the 90s, 808 basses are now created digitally. And this deep, distorted, gliding sound has now invaded almost every genre of modern music. And with its trap influences, future bass features this sound extensively. Future bass will also feature more rhythmic off-kilter basses inherited from its progenitor, UK wonky music. Some future bass music may even feature brass horn stabs, once again an iconic feature of trap music. Yet again, these differences make sense based on the historical origins of these genres. Melodic dubstep chords may be more sustained and reverberant, and leads may be more screaming and epic sounding. It seems that the goal is often to make the biggest, most emotional wall of sound possible. That said, this tidal wave of sound is also present in a lot of future bass music. Future bass chords and leads may be more rhythmic, warbly, and groovy, honoring the legacy of UK wonky music. In some cases, future bass may even utilize saucy trap leads and flutes to lean into that trap aesthetic. Melodic dubstep vocals may be more ethereal and spacious sounding, and future bass vocals may be more pop and R&B influenced. Once again, approaches inherited from their origins. My final observation is more of a feeling than anything, but melodic dubstep seems to take itself more seriously, while future bass seems to have more of a playful attitude. An example that I'll use to justify this claim is that you're far more likely to hear Foley, which is a term that means real-world sounds in music, in future bass than in melodic dubstep. You're not likely to hear sounds from video games or Japanese phrases or a gun cocking or a soda can opening in a melodic dubstep song. But those things are all over the place in future bass music. Both genres aim to be emotional, but I would describe melodic dubstep as more serious and future bass as more carefree. Part 5, a method for determining whether a song is future bass or melodic dubstep. To bring this all together, if you want a shorthand to determine whether a song is melodic dubstep or future bass, I would ask, does this song sound more dubsteppy or more trappy? If it sounds more dubsteppy, it's likely melodic dubstep. If it sounds more trappy, it's likely future bass. I think it's most helpful to think of melodic dubstep and future bass when comparing them as melodic dubstep and melodic trap, which, according to Louis the Child's Robbie Haldren, is what future bass used to be called in its early stages. If that's too nebulous, you can use the more extreme features of each genre to determine which genre the song is. Does it use dubstep growls or any sounds that sound like Transformers? That's a dead giveaway. It's probably melodic dubstep. Does it have blisteringly fast, sprinkly hi-hats? It's probably future bass. Does the song emphasize warbly rhythmic chords or have any kind of grimy trap lead or flute? Probably future bass. Does it ever use this sound? I couldn't not mention this sound in this video. Melodic dubstep producers love this sound. If the song has that sound, it's melodic dubstep, guaranteed.
Part 6, Case Studies. I'm going to test out my method on 3 songs. The first 2 are super easy, the last one is really hard. Case Study 1, what genre is Days to Come by Seven Lions and Fiora? First, the drums. With a pounding kick, a dubstep snare, and thrashing cymbals playing a simple rhythm broken up by a syncopated kick pattern, these are textbook dubstep drums. The basses are gritty and distorted, almost growl-like, and the spaces in the drop are bridged by glitches and growls. And with sustained epic chords and soaring melodic leads, Days to Come by Seven Lions is, without a doubt, melodic dubstep, not future bass. Case Study 2, what genre is Light by San Holo? With a punchy trap kick and a bamboo trap snare layered with a clap and tambourine playing a syncopated trap rhythm, these drums are archetypal future bass drums. The bass is an iconic 808, locked with the kick drum and extra distorted for that EDM trap energy. And with rhythmic, off-kilter chords and leads honoring the legacy of UK wonky music, Light by San Holo is without a doubt future bass, not melodic dubstep. Now let's do a hard one. Case Study 3, what genre is Feel Good by Gryffin, Illenium, and Daya? The kick is stompy, and the snare is acoustic and reverberant, but they're honestly pretty genre ambiguous. They could honestly be rock or pop drums. The basses are just a basic sub bass and saw bass. Both future bass and melodic dubstep use these. The chords and leads are huge and epic. This really doesn't tell us anything either. If this was the only information we had, I would be inclined to call this song future bass simply because there's nothing distinctly dubsteppy about this drop, and future bass is a decidedly more generic term. But when we get into the verses of the song, it becomes more obvious. There it is. These are clearly trap drums, and this tips it over the edge. Feel Good is definitely future bass, not melodic dubstep. If you've made it this far, I have a special gift for you. To synthesize what we've learned, I've made a song with 1 future bass drop and 1 melodic dubstep drop, and I'm premiering it here at the end of this video. It's called Spellbound, and if you're watching this video the day that it's posted, it comes out on all streaming platforms at midnight. So if you love it, do me a favor and add it to your playlists. But before we dive in, let me know in the comments what you think of my method, if you agree or disagree, or if you have anything to add. If you heard any music in this video that you loved, almost all of it is from really amazing up-and-coming artists. I've put their links in the description. And if you enjoyed geeking out over EDM genres with me today, do me a favor and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss all of the new EDM videos coming on this channel. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Mox Jade, and this is Spellbound.
My love is written in runes, spellbound, enchanted to you. My heart will always be true, spellbound.